holding area for the second A race here at Silverstone in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Reigning champion Will Blackwell-Chambers starts right behind his main championship contender, John Langridge. John is 16 points clear in the table going in to this second race. And John, it was a bit interesting yesterday between you and Will, but you've got a 16-point lead now going into the final two races. It's almost yours for the taking, isn't it?
Oh, if only it was that easy. It was quite spicy yesterday. Mazda racing always is. And you can't guarantee anything in this game. There are two races to go. The circuit here is fantastic for overtaking, so anything can happen.
From your point of view, is it just a case of keeping Will behind you and keeping the points, or are you going out for the win?
I think you just got to do the race, as I have been doing all year. It's been successful so far, successful formula for me, so that's all I can do. I can't control Will, I can only control myself, so I've just got to get stuck in and make no mistakes.
Well, we wish you all the best out there, as always, John. We'll let you get into your race preparation, but thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and we'll catch up with you afterwards.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Well, there we go. That's someone who's got a little bit of nerves there, getting out there on track. As he said, anything can happen. He's just got to try and keep Will behind him and keep that points gap. It's over to the commentary team to take you through all of the race action.
Well then, this could be the race in which John Langridge wraps up the title. The grid based upon the race 1 results, so it's Fraser Fenwick on pole with Matt Luff alongside. Bray and Wiggin, row 2, he was one of the drivers of race 1. Then the two championship contenders, Langridge and Blackwell-Chambers, sharing row 3, ahead of Steve Foden, Brian Trott, Adam Bessel and Matt Pollard to round out the top 10. Right down at the back of the grid, we've got our 5 drivers that were promoted from the B race: Adam Craig, Richard Wootton, Alan Hawkins, Ollie Jenkins and Callum Greatrex to bring up the rear. The penultimate round of the 2019 Mazda MX-5 Championship takes place on a damp but more or less dry circuit. Lights out, away they go. Good start made by Joe Wiggin. Look from the inside of row number 2, on board with Adrian Burge from a bit further down the order, but it will be, I think, Matt Luff that gets the lead from the inside of row 1. That's the damper side of the road as well, so that's pretty impressive, but he gets the lead into the first corner. The usual 3 and 4 wide shenanigans further back. Number 95 goes through there, just about staying out of trouble through that first corner, Ian Blake, and then they come into the real pinch point, and Blackwell-Chambers is losing ground already, look, because he's got a few cars between himself and John Langridge, but Langridge is very much in front. Through comes some of the drivers that were promoted from the B race earlier on, Greatrex, Richard Wootton and others. But as they go onto the hangar straight for the first time, it's Luff that leads the way. Fraser Fenwick second. We're back on board with Adrian Burge now. And that looks like it might be Charles Mugglestone in front of us. Yes, I think it is. There's Langridge then, the grey car, looking for third up the inside of Ali Bray, and Blackwell-Chambers is all the way down in about 6th or 7th place, and he could be about to lose out even further because Joe Wiggin is going up the inside of him. So Blackwell-Chambers does not look as though he's going to be able to do much about Langridge, at least in the early stages, but as we saw in yesterday's first race, things can change remarkably quickly in MX-5 racing, so I'm not counting him out just yet. Fraser Fenwick looking for another lead change. That's 2 within the space of the first lap, but he goes back to the front now, ahead of Matt Luff. Langridge in third. Now, if Langridge wins the race, that makes it pretty simple. I think that means that more or less he's won the title, especially if Blackwell-Chambers is off the podium. It all comes down to drop scores, though. That's where the complication comes from. They both had non-finishes this year, so neither of them can really afford a particularly bad result, but if they were to have one, it could become a drop. Another lead change now. It's the third of the race. It's going to be impossible to keep track of how many we have, but I can at least count to 3, and I can tell you that that's 3 lead changes in a lap and a bit, and it's now Matt Luff back in front, but they're all starting to bunch up now as the leaders are battling away. In this group, some pretty heavy hitters. Adam Bessel's had a win this year, so too Brian Trott back at the very first race of the season at Brands Hatch. Joe Wiggin, we know, has had more wins than anybody else. John Langridge there coming through has actually had fewer wins than Will Blackwell-Chambers, but he's had more podiums, and that's what's given him this championship advantage coming to the final round. But he has been freight trained here, and up the inside is going first of all Ali Bray with a shove from Adam Bessel. He might go through as well. In fact, Bray having to go for second place, nuzzles his way up the inside of Fraser Fenwick. That forces Langridge to the outside, 3 wide. That was a precarious position for the championship leader to be in, and he tries to get back in line. There's contact with Adam Bessel, who, had he spun there, could well have collected Langridge. He's gesticulating wildly at the cars around around him who are showing him absolutely no respect at all, but why should they? They're not fighting him for the championship. Will Blackwell Chambers, though, is, and only a lap or so earlier, he was, 5 or 6 places behind Langridge. Now there is only one car separating them. That car, though, is being driven by Joe Wiggins, so he won't prove easy to overtake. There's the number 19 car, meanwhile, going up the inside. That's Adam Sparrow, dicing away, with Steve Foden and with... Was that possibly Charles Mugglestone at the inside? No, it wasn't, was it? That's 82 Michael Nibbs going through on the inside, excuse me, with Martin Tolley behind, and then Jack Moody, and then everybody else as the leaders dive into the braking zone at Village, side by side. Bessel versus Bray. I think Bray was going through to third place there into Village. All of that happening just in front of the championship leader John Langridge, who in the grey number 5 car still has this 1-car advantage, now 2-car advantage over Blackwell Chambers, because Brian Trott got up the inside. Blackwell Chambers has not looked particularly happy this weekend, it must be said. Qualified only 4th, but he's made a few mistakes out there, a few missed apexes, a few slides, a few wide moments in general, and that certainly won't be helping his speed or his confidence either. And really, this is a time when he needs to have full confidence in the car that it's going to do what he wants it to, and he just doesn't seem to be doing. He missed the apex there at Chapel, so he loses a spot to Brian Trott. So Langridge, at the moment, doing enough, I reckon, to wrap the championship, or at least put one hand on the championship trophy. Through they come then, through Vale and through the right-hander, double apex right-hander at Club. You saw, and you'll see it again there, a blue car there, just parked up against the barriers. That's the car of Scott Leach, who was a lap 1 retirement. Brian Trott here is on the march, though, isn't he? Because he has just got ahead of Joe Wiggin now, so Brian Trott is into 6th position. Wiggins 7th, Blackwell Chambers wasn't able to take advantage of that. And then Jason Greytracks, I think, from 13th on the grid. So is he going to be the Joe Wiggin of this race, making storming progress from, in theory, the unluckiest grid slot on the grid? Third place battle side by side. Bessel's back on the inside of Ali Bray now. Does that open the door for John Langridge to come through? Let's see. Charles Mugglestone, unfortunately, is heading for the pit lane, and as well as heading for the pit lane, he's probably heading for relegation now, because the first 5 non-finishers, or the last 5 finishers, will be demoted to the B grid, for race 3 later on. Right, on board with Langridge then. He's looking to the inside of Ali Bray, who's also looking to the inside of Adam Bessel. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure, I do think John Langridge doesn't want to be 3 wide. Brian Trott, though, has other ideas and goes straight up the middle of Langridge and Adam Bessel. Bessel in the end backs out of it. Trott trying to go around the outside of Langridge, who's leaving him room, I think. But Trott actually didn't get a good exit from Stowe Corner. Hit the brakes again. Blackwell Chambers then still with 2 cars between himself and Langridge. So this isn't really quite going to plan at the moment for Blackwell Chambers. He's ahead of Wiggin, but he's now lost that position to Trott. So the situation is still as it was. That would be a 4-point gain for Langridge as things stand. Fastest lap belongs to Fraser Fennick from the 3rd lap of the race, the one they've just completed, and in the pit lane you can see the work beginning on Charles Mugglestone's car. In the first corner they go. There's Will Blackwell Chambers, car number 1 then, the reigning champion. Is he the outgoing champion? It would appear that might be the case here. He just does not seem to have an answer for John Langridge this weekend, but sometimes, especially in MX-5 racing, you can use situations outside of your control to actually benefit you. If Langridge were to get embroiled in a scrap, then Blackwell Chambers could yet overtake him. To the back straight they go, on board with Langridge, and there could be the man who might be the saviour of Will Blackwell Chambers, Brian Trott, because he's looking to the inside of Langridge now. Langridge is sort of boxed in now. He's caught the back of Ali Bray's car, and actually Trott backed out of it all, just didn't have the speed outside of the toe. So it's Langridge that might make the move, and I think will make the move for 3rd position into Stowe Corner. So this is a confident John Langridge we're seeing here. He could have come into this race, full of nerves and just desperate not to get beaten up too much, but he's getting stuck in, and that often is the best policy, really. Attack sometimes can be the best form of defence as the championship leader, coming into the final couple of races of the year. It's all too easy to back off too much and then actually put yourself in more danger. Ali Bray might be about to lose a few places here. Brian Trott's going through. Adam Bessel is also alongside him now, and then it's Blackwell Chambers. Trott, though, again, he's back up the inside of Langridge now into Abbey Corner. Does John let him go? Yeah, I think he did there, didn't he? So through goes Trott. Langridge needs to get back in line, though, because Ali Bray is alongside him. Trott doesn't. Well, he wants to keep this buffer over Blackwell Chambers if he can. He can afford to finish behind Will in this race, but he would rather not, of course. They all take different lives through Village. How's that one going to work out? I think they're still as they were, really. So Bray and Langridge more or less side by side, but Langridge, no, he's fended him off, so he loses one spot, but only one. Joe Wiggin goes to the back of the group, and there, the white number 65 car is Will Hayden, which you got a glimpse of, just behind Sam Smith, who is making a welcome return to the championship as well. So a couple of new faces appearing into this podium battle. This is all the fight for third, remember. Brian Trott has third place at the moment. John Langridge trying to get it away from him if he can, but without taking a risk that might lose him the championship. Jason Greatrex was a part of that battle earlier on, but he's slipped backwards now. He's trying to get back up the inside of Martin Tolley there, going through Stowe Corner, but that didn't quite work out. Third place battle descends upon Vale. Trott, Langridge, Bray, then a small gap, a Mazda MX-5 length maybe back to Blackwell Chambers in 6th position. Then Sam Smith, look, the red and white Mike Comber Racing prepared car, then Will Hayden, then Adam Bessel, then Joe Wiggin. So an 8-car scrap this for third position. For the time being, they are actually single file going through the first corner, which is a novelty. Steve Foden's had a rough weekend so far, hasn't he? After being bang on the pace at Donington Park, getting that podium in race number 1, which was a fantastic result. Things not quite carrying over in the same positive manner into Silverstone. Donington, though, really has been Steve Foden's best racetrack in his MX-5 racing career, so you'd expected good results there. Just a little way off the pace this weekend, but as we said in race 1, you really don't have to be much off the pace to find yourself a long way away from the race leaders. There are the race leaders then. Matt Luff still ahead of Fraser Fenwick. Fenwick still with that fastest lap that he set on lap number 3. Brian Trott third still. And where does the next change come? Is it going to be Ali Bray up the inside of John Langridge? Well, Ali Bray hoped so, but it wasn't meant to be. We sail into Stowe Corner still in the same order. A slightly calmer race this one so far, but is it all going to kick off? Is Will Blackwell Chambers going to, at some point, he has to do something. If he finishes where he is now, then he's effectively waving goodbye to his championship hopes. He has to beat Langridge in this race and try and get as many cars between them as he can. And right now, that's not looking all that likely, but if Blackwell Chambers could get to the front of this group and Langridge were to fall back down to the tail end of it, then that could change things. Not that we're wishing this away from Langridge, but that's just what Blackwell Chambers will be hoping to do. On board with Adrian Burge now, running wide in front of him and nearly rejoining into the side of him there was possibly number 32, Callum Greatrex, I think that was. Certainly one of the white and red cars, of which there are plenty in this championship. I think it was the 32 car that he was scrapping away with there. Trot them down the hill, clobbers that curb, uses a bit of the grass on the inside and heads out onto the back straight, back with Burge now. And I think the red and white car with whom he was scrapping at the final corner is back in front of him now, so we might yet get a chance to have a look at the number on the side of it. It will run wide. I got a glimpse of Richard Wooden in his mirror, so I know the black and yellow number 3 car is somewhere around here. Down the hill into Chapel Curve. The leaders are at the other end of the hanger straight though. There is Will Blackwell Chambers running out of time now. We're past halfway. If he's going to win this championship, something has to change, and it has to be done quickly, because I keep making this point, he needs to get himself past Langridge and then bring others with him, and that won't happen in the course of, could happen in the course of a lap or so, I suppose, given how quickly things tend to change in this championship, but he needs to give himself as much time as possible. And he's not even really latched onto the tail of Ali Bray, is he? Langridge up there, was he waving Bray through? No, clearly not. Bray stays behind him. It's now starting to feel like one of those cagey races that we often get at the end of the year, where everyone's mindful, super mindful of the fact that each move they make could have an impact on the championship, even if they're not actually directly involved in the battle. Oh, Trot sideways. Is that going to be the spark that ignites the fire here? Maybe Langridge might be tempted into having a go, but no. Get closer together, but no real side-by-side racing. Langridge may feel that he's being pressured into having a go here, because Ali Bray is behind him, and if Will Blackwell Chambers suddenly appears on his rear bumper, John Langridge's rear bumper that is, then that certainly will spur him on. Move to the inside, all Bray into the back of him there, but that actually helps Langridge because it nerfs him up the inside of Brian Trott, but then Ali Bray goes up the inside of both of them for third position. That was a lovely move, and I think he should be able to make it stick on the exit of the corner, but what effect will this have on Langridge and Blackwell Chambers? Because Langridge is on the outside now. The next corner is a left-hander though, so as long as he can fight his way back into line, he may not lose any positions. Fraser Fenwick's got the lead back again, by the way. You can see they're ahead of Matt Luff, but behind him, things were finally starting to come to life in that third place battle. What order have Langridge and Blackwell Chambers got themselves into? Peering into the background, I think Langridge is still in front, and in fact, it looks almost as if Sam Smith's got himself ahead of Blackwell Chambers. Well, I'm sure we'll see that in a moment or two, but I think the red and white number 6 car has got itself ahead of the blue and green and white number 1. Fraser Fenwick, though, having had the taste of the victory champagne in race 1, wants the same again in race 2. Yeah, there's the confirmation look, so the red and white of Sam Smith is ahead of Blackwell Chambers, so for a moment it looked as though Blackwell Chambers might have been able to actually get onto terms with John Langridge. That was not to be, though, and he now has even more work to do to catch his big rival. All with the man himself, the championship leader. Too early just yet to be calling him the champion-elect, I think, but things are certainly going well. It's his to lose right now, and that's why he really doesn't want to make any mistakes. He's signalling to Ali Bray that they're going to work together, so he's not going to try and overtake him. The same luxury not afforded to Fraser Fenwick, though, by Matt Luff, who goes back through on the inside and reclaims the race lead at Stoke Corner. Also at Stoke Corner, John Langridge just onto the tail of Bray. Now, Langridge is you can see he's waving at Ali Bray, trying to stop him defending, because he's saying to Ali, look, you don't need to defend, I'm not going to overtake you, I'm quite happy to finish in 4th place right behind you. If you start defending, it starts causing me trouble, and that's trouble for Sam Smith, who just as he was starting to come towards the front, has had a very, very rare Mazda MX-5 engine blow-up, but that's a fairly catastrophic engine blow-up, I fear, for Sam Smith. There's no fluid coming out of the back, which is one thing, but the Mike Comber racing car, Mike Comber and his team always produce immaculately well-prepared cars. Very unusual to see one of those cars expire, especially in the very spectacular fashion that one just did. But Sam Smith, no doubt about it, he's out of the race, should they be able to find a gap in the barriers and get out of the way. But yeah, back to this battle for 3rd place then. Langridge is sort of trying to tell Bray, you don't need to defend, and if you do, you're going to back me into drivers that I really would rather not be racing with. Of course, Ali Bray may not be able to see this finger-wagging going on from Langridge behind, and even if he can, he may not trust him. And he's probably thinking, if I do leave the door open, you're just going to sail straight by me. It's all part of the racing tactics that you have to deal with in Mazda MX-5 racing, where the slipstream is so strong and you can easily lose handfuls of places in one fell swoop. Brian Trott here trying to gain a position. He's not working with anyone, and he's going around the outside of Langridge now. That gives him the inside for Vale, and Blackwell Chambers is right on his tail. There's a chance here for Will to get himself ahead of Langridge, but only if Brian Trott prizes the door open for him, which he has sort of done, but I don't think Trott will complete the manoeuvre. Langridge eases him out wide. Blackwell Chambers looks to try and get up the inside of Brian Trott. These were the 3 that were the pace setters at the start of the season at Brands Hatch. And good to see Brian Trott back out again for the final round of the season, even if it's not as a championship contender, as we thought he might be earlier on this year. In the end, though, it stays as it was then. So Bray ahead of Langridge, ahead of Trott, ahead of Blackwell Chambers. Back down to Village then. And about to hit the brakes. Brian Trott, I thought for a moment, it was just the camera angle, but it looked for a moment like he was going up the inside of Langridge there from a long way back. In fairness to Brian, he is showing Langridge as much respect as he can here. He's not doing anything silly. He's pulled alongside on a few occasions, but as soon as things have started to get tight between the two of them, he has been leaving Langridge plenty of room. Langridge briefly one-handed there as he goes up through the gears. Now he is thinking about pulling to the outside. Oh, I wouldn't do that, John, because that leaves the door open for Brian Trott on the inside. And Brian, he'll show him respect, but he won't back away from an open door like that. And he will now try and force the issue on the inside line. Langridge hung out to dry inches between them. They have even traded a small amount of paint there mid-corner. Again, Trott sort of drops back on the exit. Now, does that give Blackwell Chambers an opportunity? No, it doesn't. So, sort of a stalemate situation here, really. We're all having a nibble at each other, but no one really taking a big bite, and no one really taking that leap of faith. Blackwell Chambers now really is running out of time. They come through then to end the lap, and I don't think this will be the final lap, but it may well be the penultimate lap of the race. Anything can still happen here. It only takes one false move from any one of these 5 drivers, and it could all start to change, but right now, Will Blackwell Chambers does not seem to have the speed to do anything about this himself, and here comes Langridge on a late charge up the inside of Ali Bray, and he gets 3rd place. Now, I did not see that coming. He runs a bit wide, though. Might lose the place down into Chapel, but Blackwell Chambers is in danger of losing a place to Will Hayden as well, and indeed he does. Hayden back up the inside through Chapel Curve. but it's all going to get very congested now because Langridge is on the outside of Ali Bray and Brian Trott's up the inside of both of them. Langridge might not know he's there. He's squeezing, gets hung out to dry. And Will Blackwell Chambers, this is his last opportunity, surely, to keep his championship hopes alive. He must get himself ahead of John Langridge. They're 4 abreast down the Hanger Straight as Will Hayden might be about to gain 4 places in one. He does. Phenomenal driving from Will Hayden. He timed that to perfection and gets himself into 3rd position. I don't think Will Hayden's ever had an A-race podium, so that could be a first, but he's not guaranteed it just yet. Ali Bray is alongside, and we're with Langridge, who's got Will Blackwell Chambers looking to the inside line, but there's no way through. How does this one settle out? They're running 2x2x2 Noah's Ark formation through Club Corner, and they're still 2x2 as they come through the second part of Club Corner. What can Blackwell Chambers do? The number 1 car has to try and make progress here, but everywhere he goes there is a John Langridge in the way. John Langridge is almost mirror driving now, just trying to keep that number 1 car behind him. Through the first corner they go again, and Langridge actually gains a spot. Will Hayden dropping backwards again now. Bray is back into 3rd. Langridge goes 4th, and Blackwell Chambers around the outside of Brian Trott and tries to hold on to the inside line into Village. And he goes right to the back of the queue again. Blackwell Chambers, every time he takes a step forward, he seems to take 2 straight back again. He just doesn't have that last little bit of performance required to really join in the fight. Joe Wiggin, though, is joining in the fight. He's got ahead of Blackwell Chambers now, and he elbows Will Hayden out onto the grass coming out of Chapel. I don't actually think there was contact, but he made it clear that he was going to use all of the road, and Will Hayden needed to make his own arrangements. So Langridge, Teflon coated he's been in this race, hasn't he? He's just sort of been brushing off all of this potential calamity and is still in 4th position. He's still ahead of Blackwell Chambers. He's still ahead of Brian Trott as well, somehow. And we're now running into the real closing stages of what has been a very tense but another enthralling race here in the MX-5 Championship. It's all been centred around this fight for 3rd place. Matt Luff and Fraser Fenwick are still out in front meanwhile, and still nose to tail, so either one of them could take the race victory here. Matt Luff looking for his first victory now in the championship. Fraser Fenwick having achieved that in race number 1. For the championship though, only 1 lap to go in this penultimate race of the season. There is 1 car between John Langridge and Will Blackwell Chambers. With Langridge ahead, he would outscore Blackwell Chambers by 4 further championship points if things finish as they are now. And if things finish as they are now, that might just be enough for him to provisionally, at least, more or less wrap up the title, barring any real disaster in the final race of the year. Still over half a lap of this one to go yet though, and Blackwell Chambers is back with them again. 1 last roll of the dice, 1 last chance to try and get himself ahead of that grey and green number 5 car, but John Langridge at pretty much all times in this race has been able to keep at least a 1-car buffer between himself and Blackwell Chambers. The race leaders meanwhile side by side going into Stoke Corner, and Fraser Fenwick is also giving this 1 last shot to try and double up here at Silverstone. Matt Luff had the inside line into Stoke Corner though, so he goes into the corner ahead. He comes out of the corner ahead as well, and there's really only 1 more overtaking opportunity left. That's down into Vale Corner, this next left-hander. Middle of the road defensive line taken by Luff, so Fenwick tries to send it right round the outside to get the inside for Club Corner, which he might just have done. They almost lean on each other. It'll be a drag race through the final corner, but Matt Luff has the wider line, he has the momentum, and now for the first time he has the checkered flag. Matt Luff wins the 2nd race of the weekend at Silverstone. Fraser Fenwick comes home 2nd, 3rd will be Ali Bray, but 4th position for John Langridge, and if it doesn't officially seal the deal, it puts him very, very close now to his first ever MX-5 Championship title. 5th position for Brian Trott. Blackwell Chambers is 6th, Joe Wiggins 7th, Jason Greytrex 8th with Seb Fisher and Adam Sparrow rounding out the top 10. Will Hayden was given a post-race time penalty for exceeding track limits, unfortunately, with Jack Brewer, Steve Foden, Matt Pollard and David Waters next. 4 retirements, they all get relegated then for the next race. Scott Leach, Oliver Graham, Charles Mugglestone and Sam Smith, with Ollie Jenkins, the last of the finishers, also being relegated to the B race. 1 more race to go then, and Langridge may well be on the verge of the championship.
Matt, well done. You made it up from 2nd to the 1st step on the podium today. Good racing.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, it was me and Fraser were pushing each other along. Yeah, I mean, we broke a gap at the start, broke from the pack. Yeah, and we just kept our heads down, stay consistent. And before we knew it, we had sort of a 4, 5, 6 second lead on the rest of the field. Yeah, and in the last few laps, we just started battling a little bit, and yeah, I came out on top, so very pleased.
Fraser, well done. 2nd place. Tough battle out there. A little bit disappointed you didn't follow up on your win from yesterday?
No, but you can't always win, but you don't always lose. But you know, it's great hard racing when I got Luff out there. battling with me. It's great hard racing, no contact or anything, but it's just great. You know, I'd love another win, but can't always have what you wish, do you?
Ali, well done. Another podium position this weekend and another lockout from the team.
I know, it's a dream come true for me. We've been running this team now for sort of 5-6 years, and we've never had a 1-2-3. All the boys in the workshop and the girls, they're all like, oh, can we do a 1-2-3 maybe one day? 2 in a row, can we make it 3?